It's the Rookie Sleepers video. Welcome back into the Dynasty Nerds YouTube page. I'm Garret Price, and today we are talking about sleepers, not necessarily guys that are like, oh, I have it my RB4 instead of my RB2. No, guys that are legitimate round 3, round 4, maybe even round 5 guys that you might not have even heard their names yet. I might be introducing you to these players, but even if not, you haven't heard a ton of information on these players. But I want to preface this by saying these are players that I'm banking on upside. Basically, after I get around the second round or so, I am swinging for the fences. I only care about the upside of these players. I don't care if they, end up flaming out and they don't even get a chance to play. Like, I don't care about that. I'm looking at what is the possible ceiling for these players, and those are the types of guys that I'm going after. So I've got 3 guys for you that I want to talk about. The first one being Devontae Price out of FIU. Came into the combine weighing 210 pounds at 6'1". Part of the reason I have Devontae Price in here is simply because of the size. You don't have many running backs that come in over 6 foot, and he's all the way up to 6'1". So he's definitely a taller running back, but at 210 pounds, he has the frame to be able to add a little bit more weight. So it wouldn't shock me if a team falls in love with this guy and gets him up into 215, 220, maybe even at some point in his career, 225. He's got the frame and the build to do it, but he's already got the speed. You can't teach a guy to get faster. 4.38 speed. Now, if you look at his numbers, you'll be like, I'm a little underwhelmed. Only 682 yards this past year, 6 touchdowns, and he had roughly 5.3 yards per rush. So it's actually pretty solid, but he only had 129 attempts, and so that's why the overall numbers are down a little bit. He was a little bit banged up in October and November, so didn't play as many games as some other players, but he did enough to get the invite to the Senior Bowl. Played pretty well at the Senior Bowl, and the thing that he really, really excels at is pass protection. I actually have him as my highest rated pass protector in this class. So you add in a guy that has the size, 6'1", I mentioned. You have a guy that is capable in pass protection. Oh yeah, on top of that, he is really actually a capable receiver as well. So I'm not saying he's a great or elite receiver, but he could be used on all 3 downs. You don't have many guys that you can take this late in the draft that actually have 3 down capabilities. Devontae Price is one of those players. So I'm very interested in Devontae Price in my 3rd round, in my 4th round, maybe even my 5th round as a guy that I can maybe stash it in my taxi squad, stash at the end of the bench, and just see what happens with these raw skills, with these raw abilities. If he gets in the right weight room with the right training and the right program, this kid could be scary. I'm absolutely stashing Devontae Price. Real quickly, I do want to tell you guys about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is this amazing app, has all these opportunities to look at overs and unders. During the NFL Combine, there were tons of them. Say, is Kenneth Walker, is he going to run above a 4.46, or is he going to run an under a 4.46? And you can put all of these different wagers together in order to get a huge payout. Best of all, at Dynasty Nerds, we're giving you a promo code NERDS. You receive a 100%, that's 100% instant deposit up to $100. So that means you put $100 into the account, they'll give you an extra $100 on top of it. And look, you're already in here looking at prospects. You're already wanting to know these names. This is the app, the site for you, prizepicks.com. Okay, my second rookie sleeper, and another guy that you've probably not heard much about, honestly, unless you've heard me talk about him, you probably haven't heard anyone else talk about him. And that's Isaiah Weston out of Northern Iowa, 6'3", 6'3.5", actually. Let me make sure I get that half inch in there. 6'3.5", 214 pounds. He had 37 receptions for 883 yards, 5 touchdowns this past season. 6 of those games, he had a reception of 40 yards or more. So we're talking about a guy at 6'3" that can make big time plays. And at the combine, 4.42 40-yard dash. That's blazing for somebody that size. Had a 20 reps on the bench, so we know he's physical. He had a 40-inch vert. You put all of those things together, that's a profile that is very, very attractive for a wide receiver. And he's actually got pretty soft hands. I saw him work at every level on tape, making some big plays downfield. Obviously, we talked about that with the 6 games of 40 yards or more on a single reception. But he worked closer to the line of scrimmage, did some things in traffic where he had some nice catches. So I'm actually a big fan of Isaiah Weston, and it's another player that you're just not going to hear much about. I don't know that he's going to have crazy draft capital, but it's a player that I really like, and I think an NFL team could groom this wide receiver into being a pretty dominant force at the next level. So once again, with all of these guys, could they be absolute busts, and would it surprise me? No, it wouldn't surprise me at all. But there's enough there to say, okay, this guy, his ceiling is higher than most players. So I think they are good sleepers to take dart throws on late in my draft. Last but not least, Ty Chandler, UNC. For a long time, Ty Chandler was actually at Tennessee. He transferred because him and Eric Gray were always splitting time, kind of taking away from each other. Both guys ended up transferring, which was a surprise. But Ty Chandler went to UNC, weighed in at 204 pounds at 5'11" during the combine, ran a 4.38 at the combine. So another guy that was absolutely moving, very physical. For only 204 pounds, that actually kind of surprised me weight-wise. I feel like he plays bigger than that, and he plays a lot more physical than that. We saw that at the Shrine Bowl. You know, you might not be as familiar with the Shrine Bowl. There's a Senior Bowl and the Shrine Bowl. Shrine Bowl doesn't get as much shine. You know what I mean? So doesn't get as much love as the Senior Bowl does, but there's been plenty of really good prospects. Just a couple years ago, James Robinson was there, and he ended up having a good short career. Urban Meyer might have ruined it. Thanks a lot, Herb. But Ty Chandler looked really good, played well in practice. There was a lot of buzz, and then in the game, he performed really, really well. He was also a very, very high 4-star recruit. So sometimes I like these players that have the good pedigree, but maybe just missed a little bit because of whatever it was. And I think his time at Tennessee, you see there was something missing there, but he looked so much better at UNC. 182 attempts, over 1,000 yards, almost 1,100 yards, 13 touchdowns, good for 6 yards per carry, which is a very good mark. Also did some things in the receiving game, 15 receptions, 216 yards, and 1 touchdown. But I mentioned his pedigree. He was the number 5 RB in his class coming out. Guys ahead of him, 3 of the 4 guys ahead of him were Najee Harris, Cam Akers, and DeAndre Swift. So those are 3 pretty good players. But he was ranked ahead of some guys that were pretty talented as well. Some of these guys are even in the NFL right now. Benjamin, Brian Robinson out of Alabama, Travis Etienne, who was a first-rounder, Trey Sermon, who was taken in the 3rd last year. So there's a lot to like with Ty Chandler, and I think in the right place, in the right environment, his ceiling is higher than most. All right, that wraps up our sleepers. Our sleepers. Sorry, I said it too loud. Our sleepers episode. If there are players that you like, that you think are good sleepers in this class, go ahead and put them in the comments below, and make sure to like and subscribe to this